Hey there, welcome to the channel. So today I want to go over what was going on in the stock market today. So today we had a down day, but not really a big day. From the perspective that, yeah, we were up and then we went down. If we look at the intraday chart, you can see that we gapped up, but we just gapped up to where we, were, where we were before we had the sell off into the close yesterday. So basically, we gap up to here, couldn't break out of that, then go to the lows from yesterday and just kind of hang out there. That's what happened today. So, kind of looking at this, what you see is we're kind of just in this range right now. We're not really making new highs or new lows right now. Yes, this is a down day, but look, you gap up, close down, gap up, close down. Here we had, let's see, we had gap down and then closed up on that big reversal day. So we're really just kind of stuck in a range there. We're kind of in this is showing, because we're not really making progress on the way up or down. We have to kind of keep in mind that I think what I'm looking for is, I'm thinking that, hey, in the very short term, now the industrials have some more doji type behavior, wider ranges, wider wicks, but less actual difference in the open and close. And so just really quick on those candlesticks, you have a candle like this and you have a big wick. So this is going to be your high of the day. So the high, this will be the low. And if the candle is a green candle or an open candle, here it was an update, then that would mean this would be your open and it went to your close, right? Went like that. And if it's going to be a red candle, then it meant your open it moved down to here to your close. So that's kind of how this works with these candles. But so when you see here, you have these big wicks. So that means that you had like intraday trading. So for example, here, if I took this bar and let's assume here, it's going to be a red bar. So I'm going to use this one right here and just try to see, well, what it was doing. You can see that, well, okay, you actually opened and then closed. So you did something like this. At some point you went down. At some point you went all the way up to there. And then at the end, you end at this point. Right. So what's happening is you're getting a lot of volatility, and that's what that means. You're getting a lot of volatility, but you're not going anywhere. So it's indecisive. The direction is indecisive. And so the thing is, what was the previous trend? The previous trend was this downtrend, this, short-term downtrend that we have right now. So this is what I'm thinking. And what I'm looking at this, and I almost was thinking like just buying a little bit of something today, because I'm like, look, it just looks like it's this, it's so oversold in the short term. And this is not the long term. I've been showing the long term weekly charts, and the long term, I'm like, hey, we may be entering a bear market. But in terms of like a swing trade or something like that, you can kind of see that this is kind of struggling to get lower. Now, these things could be like, it could consolidate here and break lower. That's one option. And then the other option, well, there's many options. I shouldn't say that, but that's one option. We consolidate, we end up just staying here longer and consolidating, and that could give us a setup to go, go higher, or consolidate and go lower. Or because we do have some support here. You see how you have a little support coming up in this area right here. So this would be in the, 430, 425, we're kind of close to that support. So like in a way, you're kind of, you're bouncing off this support in this area on SPY. So if I look at it, my guess is that, hey, we could see a bounce on this thing, either next week or maybe tomorrow on Friday. That would be my guess. So that's it really for the overall market. The Fed did their thing. That's what it is. They're following through. They're sticking to their guns for now. This sell-off in the market of 10%, whatever, as of this point, they're ignoring it. So we'll see. The smaller stuff, IWM, kind of, still getting the most beat, is actually kind of put in a lower low today, right there, a little bit. That wick goes down a little bit lower. So, and then we look at our K for ultra speculative stuff, and a pretty solid down day, but they didn't go to the low. So yeah, it's just kind of in one of those things. So curious thing, looking at Shift today, my gosh, I wonder if this company's going to go bankrupt. I'll just be really direct. I don't know. This is not financial advice, and I don't know anything or anything like that. And I'm just speculating. But just by looking at the chart, this thing has gone from, let's look at a weekly chart. So look at a weekly chart here. Let me just zoom out. Yeah. So weekly chart, this thing was all the way up at like 15. It looks like it came out and went public somewhere around $10 a share. And this thing is just broken down to 2. So, hey, you IPO came out about $10 a share. You're at $2. That's just for reference, that's an 80% loss. So, that's pretty bad. And they're down at like $2 right now. So my guess at this point is that, I wonder what's going on. You look at that and you think to yourself, hey, I'm going to buy that thing. It's so oversold and blah, 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 and you can buy it. But the problem is that when they start getting into this kind of thing, you got to start wondering about are they going to make it? What's really going on in there? See, the problem is you can look at the financials, and I know that I believe they had gotten this like $100 million financing, floor financing or something. I'm not sure what exactly that means. When they announce these financing, you always kind of wonder in the back of your mind, can the funding be pulled, or are they going to get the whole funding? Can they only pull part of it? I don't know. We'll just take it on face value and assume that they have the funding and they have access to it. But when you look at this stuff, it's because the problem is you don't know what's going on. You have the reporting, you have the 10Qs quarterly, they're filing their stuff. They have this legal stuff that they have to file, and they have to note. And it's good if you're really like looking at companies from a fundamental point to go read those things and look at all the there's the 40, 50 paragraphs with specific risks, and they'll list out the risks. If we can't get funding or this or that or the economy, they just have to list out all these things, which of course is very good. They're all very kind of boilerplate, but in those numbers, that's what I wonder if something else is going on. So I don't know anything, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just wondering if hey, the business is, you wonder, some of these companies investigate and they try to figure out, they'll look at companies and be like, okay, well, what I'm going to do, let's say Tesla. So even Kevin does that, Meet Kevin, right? What does he do? He's like, oh, well, let's see what the current wait list is for Tesla is. And he uses that as it's not a purely scientific objective measure, but it's a data point. And so you could do that with Shift, you could do it with Carvana, you could do it with all these other companies and kind of get a feel for, well, what's going on? Are they, overpaying? Or there's out of business? Are the people standing around at the place bored? What's going on there? So I don't know. That's always wonder when you're at $2 and cracking the single digits. It's a real tough one. So I suspect that they're not going to be around. So, that's one of the risks. Neo, this guy, I'm just kind of curious of this guy. This guy's, this one's breaking down. I mean, in a way, this one is kind of done not too well either. It's made it to the high 60s and it's breaking down. These companies that, I just don't know. A lot of these companies, they're really going to have to find a way to survive. Let's look at a Tesla here. Tesla got beat up this week a little bit on the earnings, down 12% for the week, right? This is a weekly chart, so don't freak out. Well, it was 12%. It was all today. So yeah, it's all today. But yeah, so they kind of got beat up. It's kind of, I'm not sure what the deal is there. I saw different press releases. They're kind of I think part of the concern is that, look, but Cybertruck's not coming out. The other electric truck, 18-wheeler truck, that's not coming out. The new models aren't coming out. And they're apparently focusing on robots for their factory. That's kind of odd. We're going to work on robots for our factory. I mean, I get it. It makes sense if they, it's very expensive to run these factories, especially they have factories in, Fremont, California. That's not cheap. It's not an easy place, a cheap place to hire people and have people work, so it's very expensive cost to make those cars, so you can see that kind of makes sense. So that's interesting. So if they were doing that, if they were kind of, if they're defocusing on some of the new products or just delaying them even a little bit, like if they're delaying them, like these announcements were like, hey, we're not doing it for 2022, we're early 2022, so some of the stuff seems to be pushed out a year. So like you're pushing stuff out a year, that's kind of like seems like a ways off. But the problem is those robots aren't going to do what they want them to do. Like you're not going to, this is the problem. The problem is humans just like, we're just like the best at doing this kind of factory work. Like you just have to have so much precision, and it's just our ability to realize something's wrong. Like these robots and these things, they have so much struggle with like figuring out that something's wrong. It's like they're out of alignment by 5 millimeters. It's like, okay, they keep welding, they don't know they don't know that something's wrong, they can't tell that something's wrong. So I mean, they have the benefit, but you need the human to kind of just like have that kind of, it's kind of a it's a just an early error detection, that ability to just that sense to be like, hey, something's different now and something is not quite right. And that's what's really hard to create. I mean, factories are like the best place for the robots for sure. So that'll be interesting. It's probably overdone, but that's about it. I wonder, as I said, I wonder if, for the next cycle. So, going on in our speculation, if this ends up being a cycle, is this company going to lead the next cycle? That's going to be a question. I think I can say with confidence, which I don't say anything with confidence when it comes to the stock market, because what the heck, you shouldn't be saying anything, because like convictions, all that crap mean nothing in the stock market. What I can say is like, I can almost put money on it. Shift Technologies will not be the leader in the next cycle. All right, that's it for this one. Bye.